Dear chess friends, very excited to see you on my YouTube channel once again. Today I would like to show you my new discovery in Roy Lopez variation. So the variation is for black. Now I think there are many players who are looking for complicated, typical Roy Lopez close type of position battle. Now, of course, we have a lot of choices for black. Now, there is a Berlin here, obviously, knight f6. Not everyone is happy with massive amount of theory, or maybe getting Berlin endgames, or just playing some dry positions. Now, after a6, bishop a4, knight f6, castle, of course, we have Arkhangelsk variation, which is b5, bishop c5. Some people play bishop c5 here. Now, it's very sharp systems, but I always felt like once you put bishop on c5, it's some kind of like Roy Lopez Sicilian. So there is always a lot of theory, very concrete variations, very popular lines, and it's a little bit hard. So what about we want just something more like classical Roy Lopez? So here I have a suggestion, and we are talking only about the main line. I think always it's easier to deal with sidelines, which is d3, queen e2, and so on. So we go with just absolutely main line, bishop e7, rook e1, b5, bishop b3. We can start with castle. I also like to play d6, to be honest, but so it depends what you prefer here. I usually play d6. Now, we're not going to talk about sidelines. Once again, d4. So in order to prevent d4, maybe we can start with move d6. I think it would be kind of like more accurate. Now, c3, d6, h3. So we got to this position, the main position. So, well, many of you know that we have a choice of, I don't know how many systems here. So we have obviously Chigorin variation, knight a5, followed by c5. We have Karpov Zaitsev, bishop b7, rook e8. Now, the problem is, like, there is a move repetition with knight g5. We have a Braid variation that actually published on my site, so if you're interested, it's very solid, very reliable. Recently, though, I feel that there is so much theory there. I mean, I have a few students playing this, and they face some incredible depth of theory, like 25 moves, 20 moves. Their opponents are familiar with the theory, and I'm not talking about international master level, I'm talking about level, let's say 1900 to 2200. Everyone knows a lot of theory. So if you want to surprise but still stay within like complexity of Roy Lopez close type of pawn structures, I have an interesting suggestion for you. So how about move bishop d7? Well, just normal development, and actually there are pros and cons if you compare with bishop on b7, so it's pretty okay position for bishop on d7. And now, of course, in this position, I will cover 3 moves, but it's mainly about d3 and d4. Now, after d3, we have, as always, as usually happens in this type of position, we go for Chigorin idea in order to grab space in the center. So we play c5. Now, I have full coverage here, 3 moves covered, but let's say knight d2 to show you just the main line. Knight d2, we play rook e8 with idea eventually to play bishop f8 in this position. So, and so it's pretty normal position. Actually, sometimes in the systems with move d3, we have sometimes bishop on b7, sometimes bishop on d7. So it's pretty normal. Knight f1, knight c6. Now 3 moves are covered, but I just would like to mention probably knight g3. So the majority of the games, and here I have interesting novelty, move rook c8, which temporary stops d4, because after all the captures bishop is hanging on c2, and we just play this position. For example, if white plays a4, we already go for very natural setup, h6, bishop f8, and it's just absolutely normal play. Actually, I was talking about bishop on d7, what is like pros and cons. Now we control f5 square, so that's a good thing about bishop on d7. So this is one line. And after d4, so definitely that's the most critical. We have very surprising idea, a5. I don't know if you ever seen in this type of Roy Lopez move a5, but here we go. We can play like this. Now, one of the ideas, of course, that after d5, So that's immediately the question. It appears that tactically we can play a4. And I wish everyone will get the game where white is a little bit confused and they're just like, what's going on? Let's take a piece. dc6, ab3, cd7, and then rook a2 comes and white can resign. So the guy who was lucky and got this position for black is actually a very strong Russian Grandmaster, Maxim Matlakov, in 2022. Now, of course, black should deviate, but in general, it's already a great position. So we play knight a5. We are ready for c6. It's a very, very good version for black with a pawn on d5. Now, main line here runs knight d2. So we play a4. So if we're allowed to play a4, we play a4. But by the way, I would like to mention it's very important line, so that, of course, to prevent a4, white has also a4. And here we get this very, maybe slightly unusual reaction. ba4, bishop a4, e4. We give up the center. cd4, but we play knight b4, bishop, knight c3, and let's say we take. So just an exemplary line. We play knight d7, bishop f4 looks logical, rook e8, followed by bishop f8. We actually have a very active position thanks to the knight on b4. It might be a little bit confusing that we gave up the center, but so we can challenge the center one day. We have our active knight that controls squares on b4, many squares. Knight b6 can come anytime. So actually, it's a pretty nice play here. It's a pretty nice play, and I mean, I really like this position for black. Now, this is one line. So we talked about a4. So what white, if white decides just to stop our idea a4, and it's a very principle, like no questions about. But the main line, obviously, knight d2. So in this case, we play a4, bishop c2, and just moving to classical rook a8, bishop f8, regrouping. Couple of moves here, but knight f1 is clearly top choice. We play h6, also very important to cover g5, not allowing bishop g5 move. Knight g3, bishop f8, and here we have the main position of this variation with 6 different moves covered. But you know, I think it's complicated. It's there is a lot of complexity, closed center right now. I know many players are looking for this kind of position when they choose to play Ruy Lopez for black, and also black stands pretty well. It's not very popular. It could be not only a reliable system, but in the beginning a very nice surprising weapon. I don't know how many players are familiar with this idea for white. I didn't see any information about this, like any courses covering the system, but it's just, to be honest, it's normal. It's normal. Ruy Lopez, close type of position, a little bit unusual, bishop on d7, maybe some unusual ideas that we jump sometimes knight a5, but sometimes we take e4. So very interesting in my opinion, very nice choice if you want to avoid all what I mentioned before, like crazy theoretical lines, massive theory, and maybe some sharp variations where like white at some point has repetition or something like that. So this is the system that I would like to offer you. Now, as those who are familiar how it works here after this video presentation, if you are very interested, you have a PGN file on my site, ask-avrukh.com, where you can find PGN, you can buy PGN. And otherwise, it might be just a good idea for you to do your own research. Now, please, if you like this video and you would like to get notifications when something new, when a new video pops out with a new opening idea, please subscribe and click notification bell. And obviously, I would be very interested if you leave some comment, your opinion. So I try to answer very quickly, as quickly as possible. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.